he is running for county clerk.
Yes.
No, yes.
Yes.
I thought, yes.
Yes, yeah. Yep. Kyle and me both running for treasurer on your agenda, so.
I see that.
I am running for Harris County Clerk. I was your Harris County Clerk for 8 years. And as the county clerk, you know, the recorder of the county, and my tagline was recording the major events of your life, because we deal from your birth certificates, to death certificates, with your mortgages and deeds recorded in the office along the way. When you get married, your marriage license is issued by the office. There's just a lot of things we do. We do 600,000 filings around real estate every year, about 50 categories of other documents. That includes cattle brands. Yes, there's cattle in Harris County. As you know, Harris County is the 3rd largest county in the country. We will probably be the 2nd largest in about 2 to 4 years, because we're going to pass Cook County, where Chicago is. As the county clerk, I ran the elections. And since, you know, every Republican was swept out of office in 2018, we've had 4 people in less than 4 years who've run the elections. And that's 2 county clerks, and now we're on our 2nd elections administrator in those 4 years. Every election they have run has been messed up. Whether that's been, you don't even hear of all the details. But at one election, they had a voter roll on the EPO books that was over a year old. And so, you know, it took them a while to figure it out. And then they, you know, at least the system allows the ability to be remotely updated. They had an election where they did not load up the people who requested a ballot by mail or actually already voted, returned a ballot by mail on the electronic poll books, so that someone could show up in early voting and cast a regular ballot. What's so bad is they fixed it after about the 3rd day of early voting. But they did it the next election again. They did not mark them up with everybody requested a ballot by mail. And that's a lot of the part of the election security in the whole system, is to only let people vote who are eligible to vote. If you returned a ballot by mail, you can't vote again. Now, thankfully, they had not processed the ballot by mails at that time, so if anybody did vote those first few days, they would just be able to pull their ballot by mail. But this stuff shouldn't happen. This stuff went on constantly. The number of things that happened, that it's just amazing to me how many times they did not follow Texas election law. They created the 24-hour voting. The only place in the state that did that. And the drive-through voting, the only place in the state. Well, guess what? They didn't make that available to everybody in the state, so they had given an advantage to particular people in the state, so they got an additional ability to vote 24 hours or to vote drive-through. Well, in Harris County, it wasn't just that disparity against the rest of the state. They were doing those 24 hours and those drive-throughs in Democrat areas, not Republican areas. Because why? They're giving an advantage to their Democratic base. They put their thumbs on the scale. They don't run fair elections. And now Texas, legislature passed laws now to stop them from doing that abuse. But they're still doing things where the polling locations are light in Republican areas and very dense in Democrat areas. They're still doing that today. The early voting that starts on Monday, well, you can see it if you look at the map of every location. It's obvious how they're giving advantages to the Democrats. And an election day is the same thing. They give advantages to Democrats. So many things happened to the new voting machines where people were not trained. They had, they didn't report the results till almost 30 hours after election night. My gosh, I got in trouble when it was 10 o'clock that night and I didn't have 80-90% return put up, by then. With this 30 hours before they reported the results. And then when they reported them, 5 days later, 10,000 more ballots they had to report because they lost track of them and didn't report it when they were supposed to legally do. So then, beyond the 10,000, you never heard about the 60 that was after that. These people don't know how to run secure and safe elections. It's all about making sure every vote is processed correctly and only the eligible voters who can vote, and make sure that everyone who can is allowed to. But it's just a big mess, okay? So, what do we have to do? They're going to do things that aren't right this November. It's going to happen. Okay, there will be some cheating this November. But how do we overcome that? It's easy. Just make sure everybody in your contact list turns out and vote this election. If everybody who voted in the presidential election voted for Trump, turned out and voted, then we will win in this election. And it's very important that we win. I would love for Abbott to win because for the next 4 years, if our party governor candidate, Abbott, wins, then every early voting location, the judge will be a Republican. If he doesn't win, then we're going to have the Democrats in charge of early voting locations like we do now.
Oh, boy.
And also central count and the ballot board. It's all determined by which candidate wins. And I've run elections both ways. I've run it where in central count I've been the election judge. And I've run it where I've been the alternate election judge. It's better to run it when I'm the judge, let me tell you. Because I can stop the Democrats wanting to do the little things where they shouldn't do. And anyway. So, you had a question?
Well, so Abbott has to win the county.
The county, yes. By Abbott winning the state, then that determines who's the ballot order, the first one,
Okay.
in every race across the whole state.
Right.
So that's what's so important. It's so easy to vote. Tell your friends, it's easy. Just make sure you vote for the very first person in every race. It's going to be a Republican. So it makes it very easy to vote, and it will take you 10 minutes. And here's the secret to it: do it two-handed. One on the next page and one voting your Republican. Next page Republican. Next page Republican. It goes real fast. Okay? I know these people, the judges and everybody who's running. Every one of them is about 10 times better than the Democrat. So it's easy. Don't like people who, like Kyle was saying, some people vote because they don't know them. No, just vote for every one of them because you conceded the selection in that race as Democrat if you don't vote. So we can't have those Democrats there. They've given us crime. They've given us inflation. In fact, I tell people my two best campaigners are Joe Biden and Linda Hidalgo. Because every time they open their mouth, I get more votes. Because think about it. I mean, the Democrats have done things to destroy this country. Everything they are doing nowadays is so woke and so stupid and so crazy, it doesn't make any sense when you're thinking about good government. So, it's easy. It's the right thing to do. It's for your family. It's for the future of our country. Just vote and turn out everybody you know in a massive wave. Because only about 2/3 of the people, less than 2/3 are going to vote that are registered in this election. I mean, so that means there's a lot of people, and a lot of people probably won't vote unless you go talk to them. So please do that. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Question?
Yes.
What can you do to even out the polling locations?
Well, when I'm running the election.
Well, okay, but I mean, it should be against the law.
It's not.
It's
An
not.
example being the law is written so that you cannot. And remember, they're thinking in terms when they write the law, because most of the counties are a real small population.
Right.
Each commissioner's precinct cannot have more than double another commissioner's precinct.
Okay.
Because a lot of these small counties might have 3 precincts in a commissioner's precinct. Okay, so they're thinking, well, in other words, another one can't have more than 6 and I can have 3. Well, in Harris County, it's a disaster if they have double.
Right.
So the law needs to be changed there.
Okay.
And I was very effective in getting laws changed when I was the county clerk. We worked at the legislature. Most everything was around elections that we got changed.
Okay.
So that's on my list of things to address this next year. Because we've got to make it to where maybe it's within 10%.
And if you're looking to find a place to vote, I'm told that at the Weekly Center for early voting, they will have 60 duos. At the Steve Raddick Center, where I'm going to be, we're going to have 28.
Those people do not know how to allocate machines based upon estimated turnout.
Right.
Okay, we saw that. Remember the first election they ran, I think in 2019, where people were voting at 1:30 a.m. the next morning?
Yes.
okay? Because they gave the same, in a strong Democratic area, they gave the same number of machines to the Republicans as they gave to the Democrats. And there was nobody waiting on the machines for the Republicans and the Democrats, because they're just like clueless.
They park it here and
I
have.
got it.
Yes.
So who controls the local voter rolls? Is that a state function or is that a county clerk function?
Right now, it's the elections administrator. Before that, it was the tax assessor collector. Back in the days, Paul Bettencourt, when he was the tax assessor collector, he was also the voter registrar. Now it's Ann Bennett, and she's better than what we have now, probably, but because these people have fought following the law.
Right, so I guess my question is do they have, how much authority do they have? Let's say, because I think the solution, a lot of solutions to these problems is in December, we purge the voter rolls right after the president, in 2 years. Right after the presidential election, we purge the voter rolls and everybody has to reapply over the next 4.
That would have to be a state law change.
Okay, it can't be done both.
No, they cannot just let unilateral. You cannot take anybody off the rolls without a challenge. Or they've not voted in a long time, they go on suspense, and then it takes a while before they're actually dropped off the roll.
Okay.
So there's even federal law that protects the integrity of the voter roll. So, but when they're not following the law though and dropping them off like they're supposed to, that's a problem, yes.
Yeah.
But you did a lot with the voter roll that came over from,
I had to use the roll that's given to me.
yeah.
As the county clerk, I had no discretion. If they're a registered voter, I had to allow them to vote.
Yeah.
That's not
What
necessarily
about
a
even the
bad.
dead ones?
Huh?
Even the dead ones?
Even the dead ones, if they're on the voter roll. Now, they can be challenged, okay, but yeah, I had to use the roll that's given to me. So it's important who's doing that, most definitely, and make sure they're following the law. Yes?
When a death certificate is issued, is that person's name removed from the voter roll? Under
current law, what happens is the the actual official registrar is the state of Texas. Okay, so when they get they're constantly getting death records from Social Security, and then when they get those from Social Security, they drop them off the voter roll. Unfortunately, it takes about 6 months for Social Security to get their act together to where it happens, and there's also sometimes there's there's mistakes. Data might not be the exact same. They have a typo in the voter roll for the Social Security number or something like that. So occasionally someone doesn't get dropped off. But that's why there's a lot of organizations, and our own ballot security of the Republican Party is looking at those voter rolls to make sure it's clean and working to do that. But they've had to threaten lawsuits here recently to get them to drop off people that they protested, legally protested.
So do you have any comments on the reports that people are trying to register dead people?
They do that. Because remember, there's people out there getting paid by the Democratic Party to register people. So that when it's in their interest to turn in names, they'll sometimes go to an old voter roll or something and register them again if they're not on a current voter roll. It's usually them just wanting the money.
Yeah.
Okay?
Good.
So, and there needs to be some laws though passed in place where those people actually get in serious trouble for doing that.
Yeah, like a year for every one.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. Or some big fines,
Right.
and where you can't ever do that again.
Right.
So, all right. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Stan.